working myself on social, having this team with me. Now I'm working with all the regional teams we have, and then that kind of helped me to reflect a while back when I joined, like how, and now I'm tackling this hiring process a lot. And then, so what I thought, the first one that I came up with when I joined was that social media, our social media, SEMrush looks like me, because number one user is the one who is behind the brand, and it was me, and then so the way I see social media is the way we act on it. And then I was facing a real challenge back in the days. I was new to SEO, I wasn't new to marketing, but that's the way how people perceive SEMrush. So that's the expert, we can share the tips, we can have really advanced discussions. But what people got was me. And then I really couldn't join those discussions, share those tips that were expected. Then I thought, okay, me is me, I'm not going to really change in 10 days. So then I thought, okay, and then many companies face the same challenge, because a lot of companies, they hire agencies or they hire junior marketing specialists to work in social media. So that's a really, really common challenge, because the brand, how it's perceived, and people who are behind the brand are different. So what I did, then I went on every social media and I identified the competitors. And then I saw that, okay, for example, Majestic and Screaming Frog, Dixon and Densharp, they were so experienced. They answered questions, technical questions, on a higher level, and I wouldn't be able to do that in 5 years, so that was out. I saw Moz, who were really, really good with content marketing, and they had brands, and it was really something I couldn't broadcast as the way that Moz could. And then also such metrics were those kind of really serious guys with enterprise kind of content. And then I thought, okay, what I do best really, because then what I do best is that I network. And then I also use DriveLikeU to check the bios, how brands position themselves. Then also what I did, and I don't think that anyone actually does it, I went on LinkedIn, and then I identified, well now it's I did this now, but before, back in the day, Such Metrics had different accounts, and also Moz had Erica and Jennifer, and then so I identified people who were behind the profiles, and because I knew that, okay, well, social media and SEMrush brand is me, so what are the people how they react, and then how they engage, what they post. So I researched that not to the company level, but I researched that to the people level. I'd say that then I really saw that no one really networks, no one really talks to the audience, and then that was my strength. So from now on, for people who engaged with SEMrush on social media, then probably you would say, well, you would agree that we've been the most responsive brands. And that's because I hate broadcasting. I never liked posting, but I like dialogues, and that's the way how we started. And then it's just, I think that's the really brief, perfect mix for a social media person. Give them freedom, let them create, let them make mistakes. I'm really grateful that sometimes management hasn't stopped me. And then, of course, you need budgets now, especially. And what I really, this is the really important bit of it. So, it's when you go to the hotel, the first person that you see is the person in the reception. And the person will, let's just the check-in. And then if this person at check-in, they upset you or they make you happy, then that's how you see the hotel. I believe that in social media that's kind of the same thing, because I'm the most well-recognized face within SEMrush, and that's because I'm behind the brand. And I felt this responsibility that I might not be an expert in SEO, but SEMrush has to be. And if I make a mistake, then the brand makes a mistake. And then this is something that your agency or your team has to realize. And then that's like the next step. Well, I'm not going to go into that. This is the step that companies are okay with. Well, sometimes then they really forget that they can't be on every social network. And here, well, we did this for Portuguese, so that's how I showed the team that really, when you browse some content and look at the number of social shares within the network, and then focus on only on social media that really matters. And in that case, in Brazil, that's Facebook. So this is just a customise tool to use for that. But once you identify this, so like this happens, like, well, there's a question like, I have to post something. And I don't think that now brands have to invest a lot of time in broadcasting, meaning really posting, because I always thought, okay, we need to show that we're real, but I don't have this time to invest in like super high quality content, meaning edited videos, like unique content that would hack the Facebook feeds of our users, and I invested my time in networking. Because the reality is this, like the web is changing, Facebook and Twitter and everyone like Instagram, they take the algorithms, and then people have different devices, the attention span is decreasing. And then also, most of the time brands are broadcasting, they want to take the person out of social media to their website, to their property, and now this is just not happening because all of the websites, all of the social media platforms, they want to keep the users there. Now shout out to Jono. Well, I love that quote. So basically, people just think that brands think that they need to create more and more and more. And then I think that you need to focus, well, I agree with that 100%, that they need to focus their initial content. And once they do it, then basically social media can just support that, and you can share that in social media, but don't like be overwhelmed with just creating. But then again, we need to post something. I'd go, well, if you have one piece of content, like it's every you have something, an ebook, or you produce something, that you just, what we do is that we try to even share one piece of content in different ways. So either some features like tagging people that happens only if you post at real time. I think that's really precious, because then you actually show your audience that you were really online. This post is not scheduled, and this is what I really enjoy when I see brands do it. Also, just to share some posts from your audience, and then use emojis and then pictures with overlay text. So that's like one-on-one tip for posting. I think that they work better than just images. And that's one of the examples we had. We had an Australian database update. And those are 4 posts that we did. That's from my personal account, and those are from SEMrush. If you see something sticking in my head, that's because I'm in a dress and there's no way we could stick it. So I'm not like a dinosaur. So you see that, well, this is like a GIF or a GIF, and that performed really well, because something in the feeds, like when people react to something that is not normal, and GIF is moving, so that obvious that it performs well. This is the picture that I hated, and our designers did it, and that's like the first association with Australia. It's this. But the problem is that it was designed for the Australian audience, and I think that probably Australians are not really happy with just again seeing the kangaroo. next to the news about that day, so about their market. And best performing tweet was mine because it was just a personal account as well. And the data, like screenshots with something highlighted is the best thing that we ever did, because it's just something that catches people's eye. And I'd say that just, well, I always look at data because it's like trustworthy, and graphs always attract attention. And also coming back to my tweet, then use your employees' audience. They're your biggest asset, and ask them to share posts, or actually at least tag people. So if SEMrush posts like an infographics, or we share something from the conference that we'll be sharing in a moment, then I go and tag experts that I'm friends with. So I'm using my personal profile to amplify our content. And then a bit about the designs of the posts, and sometimes these things that they're really neglected. This is a really cool thing. Well, I've shared the link to the deck later, but here is also where I took this image from. If you're into global marketing, then you really need to look at that, because different colors mean different things for different countries. And there's loads of it. I think there's 60 or something here. And there are also countries and colors and emotions that they evoke, because yellow is a key color in Thailand. They probably shouldn't use it, and whereas actually yellow and black is one of the most successful combinations in social media. So if you're targeting Europeans, that would be a good combination. If you're targeting Thailand, that would not. And one of the most overlooked things is fonts, actually, because there are loads of studies about fonts, and I see just crappy images on social media all the time. And with fonts, this is a really big issue with fonts. I love the study by one guy who actually submitted the essays, and then he submitted it in Times New Roman, Turkish, and Georgia, and then Georgia font essays, they got A's, and the Times New Roman, A's with minus, and Trebuchet really did worse. So actually, even the font he submitted the essays, then they impacted the outcome. So I'd say that, well, also, I love this post. This is 2013 or something, very crazy, but this is the best post about fonts that I've ever seen. This is font and the emotion that the font evokes. So this is, I think, the fonts really matter, and this is the best way to actually read it, at least in one blog post. Also about repurposing content, so that's again, well, saving time in broadcasting, and actually giving space to your audience, or celebrating your audience, and this is the best thing, that if I see me, then I'm tempted to share, and that amplifies the whole thing. So we're running the Twitter chat every Wednesday for over 2 years, and then I did that because, again, I wasn't an expert myself, but I wanted to give space to people in our audience who could share tips. And then so we gathered this we had a lot of user-generated content. We gathered them, we gathered the best tips, and then we shared them in a chat recap. Then what we basically did, we created nice checklists with the best tweets, and then put them in an infographic. Then also what we'll be doing now, then we'll be creating the template for best quotes, and then we also will be gathering 10-15 quotes, and then putting them on the SlideShare and embedding the SlideShare to the blog post. And then once you share this piece by piece, all those visuals, and you actually have like 10-15 images that are generated by users, so users are tempted to share them, because that's like, we're giving them the credit. And so In total, you have 20 plus images about one piece of content that you created, and then you can constantly share it, and then that will be compliments to your audience all the way. But, okay, I see. So, yeah, if you're, well, broadcasting is not enough, you have to be networking anyways. And I see two winning things here. So it's that's integrating social media in your marketing mix and then networking with the audience. So what we do, for example, that could be used within Bounder and any other conference. We gather the tweets from the conference, and then actually that back office can do that. And then we scan through the feeds, we export that, and then we just pick the best quote for the speaker, and then we again tag all the speakers. And that's great for brand awareness, because all of you might not have engaged with SEMrush, but once you go to Twitter during the conference, that this actually dominates the feed, and that will be one of the first tweets you see. What we did for Brand SEO this year, we gathered the tips for majority of speakers. We uploaded the deck, and the deck was used in recap posts in several blogs that I know and what I really like, I used to be really nerdy about social media tools. So what we did is that this is one of my favorite tools. They're called Tweetbinder, and this is a part of the report that you get on their page. But then what I do, I download the Excel version, and then they have the user, they have the tweets, they have the amount of favorites and the tweets that the tweets got. So I basically can filter the most important people. We can download all the people and then create the audience to advertise something for them. So I think this is like a really cool thing you won't be probably able to engage with all of the people during the conference, but they will already know you kind of from the feed, or they could see your logo if you're exiting. So once you're back in the office, then you can engage with them afterwards. One of the most powerful things that we do in social media, we listen. We search our brand name, we misspell brand name, and here one of the brands that do that best, they actually search for relevant terms, and then if someone searched for hotel or restaurant in Washington DC, the instant suggests would be replying with this suggestion of the restaurant or the hotel. And I really like it, and creates this wow effect, because I wasn't expecting the hotel that I'm not likely to choose to reply to me, but if they do, then suddenly they are, I have this wow thing that some brand, and Hilton is a big brand, they replied to me, they listened, and then suddenly they get more of the attention from me than they would ever get beforehand. This was the tips that kind of with the brand awareness mostly. That if people they don't know your brand, but also there are people who are ready to buy. And this is the Australian brand Pacific. They actually did a really good job in their Facebook feed. They showcased the items they had, and then they also did cool call to action. So now users are ready to buy on social media, and you have to help them do it. If you can optimize your page to the maximum conversions, you should definitely do it, because then, Instagram, for example, Instagram really work with ads. I haven't heard whoever advertises on Instagram. I hear good feedback about it, and actually I bought things thanks to Instagram ads. No, never Apple. Yeah, I don't think that other social platforms were that successful with me. But if you are advertising on Instagram, then please, well, for example, I like Gary Vaynerchuk, and then Udemy just targeted me with that, with his course, and then I just went and bought it. So either target the pages that people like for the interests, and make sure to include the right link, because sometimes this is just not the case. I won't have that in the slide because this is a gray area, and this is something that we don't do, but my friend does, and he's in B2B or B2C. So what they do is that they create 3, 4 profiles for people, and they also think think the questions through that the customer might have during the buying process, and then they put the post on Instagram, and then the conversation between those people start. And so basically, they answer all the questions of the customer before in the feed with the conversation. So what is the product, or is it healthy, or is it? And then so basically, they just guide through the process, and then it's not the brand who does it, but that's brand people. And this is like not ethical 100%, and that's why it's just like. But this is good for Instagram and Facebook. But this is, I think, gives you an idea of actually just how a brand can think of the questions that their audience have, and then they address it and they answer it in this great way. So once you get people on your website from social media, this is the thing that people trust people trust their friends, they don't trust you. So then this is the example of a company that just embedded the Facebook search on their website. Also, when you have content, make sure that you help people share it, because then it just amplifies you, and then people they want to share your content, and they like it, and then help them, well, just with the tools like highlighter, click to tweet, just make it easier for them. And once you create something awesome, and then people participate, when they participate in something, they like to share it. And then so here are the tweets of, well, rarely brands do this, I don't know why, but when you have a webinar, for example, and when people register, they just quickly change the tweet, change the social media sharing button to something like share, you've joined, and then there are some brands who do that successfully, and people are really sharing this. And one of the things that I really is overlooked on social media, that's customer support. And in 4 months, when we introduced the customer support, social media customer support, we answered 600 cases. And this is massive. And then if you don't share it, then basically you just run the risk of losing the customers. And now I believe that anything can be done with machines. Like machines can do anything except empathy and care. So when you go out, when you search for something, and you search for your brand name, when you see the person that is not happy, then I think that just like when you turn them too happy, then it just makes a massive difference. And one really easy tweak that actually just changed everything. So if I just say, hey, how are you doing? And then if I say, hey, how are you doing, Calvin? Then Calvin looks at me. And then so it's just the whole, mentioning people's names is just amazing, and it just makes a whole lot of difference. So I suggest that you really do that when you answer to the question someone, and I always use their first name, and we always get a reply. And the thing is with this, with unhappy people, there is this neutral, stable position that people are in, and then if they're not happy, when you make them happy, they don't return here, they return here. So person who actually was not happy with you, but you solved the issue, they may be your biggest ambassadors and they may advocate for you a lot more. And this is one of my favorite examples of of social media customer support. You might have heard it. Like this Skyscanner had this bug when a guy had a stopover of loads of years, and then he tweeted that. And customer support manager came up with an amazing reply of what he can do with within those years of this destination, and really escalated and then gave Skyscanner an immense amount of publicity. So it actually is also your time to shine. We sometimes have this I could marry SEMrush tweets, and then we really come up with creative ways to answer it. So we built our community with Twitter and this Twitter chat. So what I did and what really helped is that I exported the data with different tools. And then, for example, when we invited people to our chat, then I exported this 30K, 40K people audience. Then I filtered them by their last activity. Also, they followed us, we followed them, so that was reciprocal. And also keywords in their bio. And then we invited over 1,000 people every week. And I got less than 10 complaints. And mistakes, then we filtered SEO and search, and when we haven't invited anyone else. So this is the key, to personalization. And then also, if we invited 3 people in the same tweet, and then someone replied, yeah, I will be there, and immediately the other 2 people, they received kind of the social proof that it was important, and then other people were going and joined as well. And other trend that I see, because everything is so busy, and so what I see, and then I keep hanging out in the communities myself. So if you have limited time and then you want really good attention, then tackle small communities and private groups. I don't have enough time left, so I just quickly will share that also there's a problem of identifying your existing clients in social media, and this is a campaign that we did recently. We just embedded the Easter eggs in 15 tools to just help people discover the tools more. And so that's how it looks, and encourage people to tweet that. And then you see the engaged audience, and then we added all of those people on the list. So now we actually have the list. I will skip that. So we have the list of 1,284 SEMrush users, and then I have never seen the Twitter list so clean out of all bots. And that's the reason why we actually did it. So we released a lot of tools, but no one was only a few people were discovering all of them. And then we introduced gamification to help them discover. And so basically now what we did is that we took them out of the tool to social media, and then we'll be engaging with them in social media to help them discover the tool more and associate them with this image. So I think that social media just gives us amazing ways now to engage with the audience. And this is the most important formal place to chat with them. Quickly, key takeaways here. I think we'll just flip through it. And really just care about the audience. They don't follow you because they they just care about the brand. You kind of offer them something that they're either special or you make them feel more beautiful. But I think what really is powerful powerful is that if you care about them and make them feel up. And that's the link to my slides.